Hey everyone, it's Kyle back with the Inshore Edge. Today I'm bringing you a tackle tip. This is a tip that I stumbled upon last summer, and I've incorporated that into my everyday fishing and always will. It's that important. And it involves something odds are you already own. In this case, swim baits. Real popular inshore, put it on a jig, no matter what size, 3-inch, 4-inch, and it catches fish. It catches reds, trout, flounder, you name it, right? And a lot of you also, there's a lot of popular inshore brands that have straight tails. Some look like this, some there's different designs, but the point is you have a straight tail, you don't have a swim bait. So odds are you have some of those, or you've seen somebody fish with it, or maybe you like to fish with either one, or maybe just one. But point being, what I found out last summer, and kind of a backtrack a little bit, I actually was big into swim baits for the longest time. I did a lot of swim bait fishing in the bass world, big, small, different techniques, things like that. And so naturally, when the few times I would go visit family in the past decade or so, and come down fishing shore for once or twice a year, I would throw swim baits. Same thing, it's real popular and have a lot of success. So when I moved down here to the Mississippi coast about 1.5 years ago, first 6 months, we were learning to find fish, just trying to figure everything out. And so naturally, you typically go with your confidence bait. With that said, we were last August, very hot, bluebird sky day. We had some success in the morning catching trout. We pulled up to a community hole on our Mississippi coastline. A lot of boats on this spot. There was one little spot that we've caught some flounder before and some trout on an outgoing tide around some rocks, nice little current. And sure enough, that setup was there. And so we pull up, side scan first, as we usually do. I always like to see if there's fish there. Now, I don't just want to fish a spot because we caught before. I want to see if there's actually something there because I don't want to waste my time. Sure enough, we saw what looked to be like a school of trout there. And in the past, we've also caught flounder there. So we pull up, start fishing, boom, our swim baits, right? Confidence bait, especially in the middle of the day when it's tough and we're not getting bit. 45 minutes goes by. We're hopping this thing fast, trying to trigger a bite. We're going slow in case they're not aggressive, dragging it on the bottom, everything you can do with a jig, not getting bit. So that particular day, I had some straight tails in the boat. And just a kind of disclaimer, I'm not new to fishing these. I don't know. I never really thought about what I'm presenting to you now. So I put on, same jig head, a straight tail. In this case, it was a Z-Man scented jerk shads. Basically start fishing that real slow, just lifting it. These are Elastec, so they're kind of buoyant, so it kind of helps a glide effect, especially if you have a light jig head. And boom, first cast, trout, 16, 17-inch trout. That proceeds for the next hour until the current stopped. It was almost every cast, my son and I. Flounder, trout, all good fish, and that place was loaded. We could see them on side scan, didn't even realize how many fish were there, but the bite went off. And of course, the challenge of fishing so much involves the why. Why did that just happen? Why am I not catching? Why is this? Why is that? I always want to know, and we don't always find the answer, but you'd be surprised how you can become better when you do seek that why. So it's amazing what you can figure out about fish. I don't know the why. Fast forward a year later, I don't know what, I have some speculation why the difference produces, but so kind of backtrack a little bit of what y'all know about swim baits. I think maybe beginner fishermen or people just don't know any better. They think of a swim bait, they think of that little tail, and they're like, oh, that's what little small fish do. That's what their tail looks like when they swim. If you actually see a small bait fish in an aquarium or clear water in their natural environment, everything's a real tight action, more darting and things like that. So it's not really this big swing that you see on an actual fish, but what you do see is vibration, right? And so all our predatory species have a lateral line. All fish have a lateral line. They have this lateral line that they use to feel vibration in the water, and that's a big part of that's a big sense they have in addition to smell and sight and things like that. And so that's why swim baits are so effective. Now, so why would a straight tail work in that situation? I don't know. That particular day, that part last summer, our shrimp were starting to show up more inshore, like they typically do sometime mid to late summer. As they grow, they start moving out of the marsh into the fall, and we have this big feeding frenzy, and all these predatory fish move into the marsh. and outside feeding on these shrimp. And so I thought maybe a gliding bait, kind of slowly gliding along the bottom. If you ever seen a shrimp swim, that's typically how they travel. Of course, they dart away real fast if they're scared or being chased, but for the most part, that's how they're moving. And some of these natural colors look like shrimp color. I thought it might have been that. And there's been a few situations since the past year where that maybe played out. I'm like, okay, it seems like it might be the shrimp thing. Then I've had other times where I've switched this up, kind of like I'm getting ready to describe, and I don't think it had anything to do with shrimp, because really, visibly, the only thing in the area was bait fish. So that's kind of pondering the why, right? Not last but not least, also with these, you can fish them slow, but you can also create a real erratic jerking action, just, popping the jig off the bottom. And because it's more streamlined and you don't have this tail getting in the way and creating a lot of drag, you can create erratic action, which can also be very attractive to fish. Fish can definitely set them off and get them to eat and react to a bait. I'll get into that more on 2 separate videos on swim baits and straight tails. But the takeaway for that I want to give to you, and it's happened so many times in such a relatively short amount of time. We're about a year now coming up on that. You need to have those 2 baits on your boat: swim baits and straight tails. Whether you want to fish it on a jig head or a wide gap or drop shot, that's all up to you. But you need to have those 2. And like I said, many of you probably already have it on your boat, but you need to incorporate it when maybe you're on a bite and you're hitting them with a swim bait. The bite turns off, but you're still pretty sure there's fish there. What's going on? Try to hit them up with a straight tail and go through your progressions. Like both these baits, you might fish it fast, you might fish it slow. You got to work through all that. That's separate stuff. And then maybe you're just not getting bit at all to start the day. Maybe go to a straight tail, or vice versa. There's times where, you got this straight tail thing working for you for a week or so, and you're like, well, I'm just going to go out and start with a straight tail, and nothing's happened. You go swim bait. And so we actually keep multiple rods on our boat on the deck. And so it's literally a matter of picking one up, working different things, trying to establish that pattern. Point being, the straight tail, the swim bait is a huge pattern that we utilize almost every trip. And it matters. It's put a lot of fish in our boat. It's changed the success of the day very much, very often. I can't express that enough. You're missing out if you're not having these available to alternate throughout your trips. So check it out. Put in the comments, let me know in the near future if you have some success right away with it. I think that'd be pretty cool to be able to see that right away. All it takes is one time and you'll be hooked. You'll make sure that you always have those available. But that's what I got. I won't take up any more of your time. We'll talk some more about, like I said, separately about swim baits and straight tails, how to fish them, and get more in the weeds with that. But so thanks for watching, and check us out next time on Inshore Edge.